Hello everybody and welcome to the first ever Modern Melee here in the beautiful and temperament city of Rijeka, Croatia, where we bring you Friday Night Magic every Saturday afternoon, of course. My name is so hard to pronounce, you can call me Ginko, and here with me in the booth is...
Marco, hello everyone.
How are you today, Marco?
Well, I'm kinda under the weather, but it's gonna be better. How about you?
I am doing actually great. We are playing Modern in person and with commentary, and this is something to be admired. And can you tell us what do we have planned today?
Well, we are looking at some weird, as foretold, homebrew played by you, versus Eldrazi Tron, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think about this matchup?
This matchup can go both ways, and we see here that it actually already started, and as foretold, player has pre-game effects. There is a gemstone cavern, mine, being played and another being exiled here. As this matchup usually plays out from the as foretold player is that they want to basically get the namesake card down, and that is as foretold, and then cast spells such as the suspended Crushing Footfalls for extra rhinos much faster than usually.
And what do you think? Is it a favorable matchup against the Eldrazi Throne?
First of all, we here see a very shiny Chalice of the Void, pretty shiny, but it's actually on 1. As I see it, which is not a very good number for this matchup. As far as the Eldrazi Tron goes against this one, this is not in the usual realm of matchups you can expect, so it can basically go either way. I do think that if with 4 Chalice of the Void in the main deck and several discard spells as top notes here, the Eldrazi Tron player has an advantage, but we will actually see.
As you said, he put the Chalice on 1, which is not good against, as foretold decks. I think in general, what was his thought behind it? What do you think?
Well, first of all, the as foretold player here has a brewer's advantage where the Eldrazi Tron player doesn't necessarily know exactly what they're against, but I do think that the Crushing Footfalls was suspended already, and here we see a Teferi, the little Teferi, coming down and immediately plussing, so that it is safe from hasty or some other type of creatures. And now we see here a Matter Shaper being played.
Another shiny card.
We will have that fixed hopefully soon. The glare is immense. And the Tiny Teferi is minus...
Tiny Teferi is the name. Teferi Time Raveler.
Tiny Raveler, yes. Is minusing on the Matter Shaper, basically time walking the opponent down.
Indeed.
This is definitely not a known matchup, and I do think that the Eldrazi Tron player has stock list, but here we see Electro Dominance being played for 1 and cast is an Ancestral Vision, or in this case an Ancestral Recall.
And this is the innovation, this is the brew in this brew deck.
This is the appeal, yes, to be able to draw 3 cards for 1 card via as foretold or Electro Dominance. And we see the Crushing Footfalls ticking down and the Scalding Tarn being played. The little Teferi is being ticked up.
Though both decks are quite slow, I think that As Foretold has the advantage because it has Teferi on the board, and rhinos are coming quite soon, while the opponent doesn't have much.
Well, exactly. That's the point with Teferi and all the other supporting spells, is just to time block your opponent, 2-for-1ing yourself. It doesn't matter because you have cards like Crashing Footfalls, you have cards like Ancestral Vision, which in this deck is just better or worse Ancestral Recall, and you don't really care about card disadvantage with spells like Force of Negation or something else.
So what do you think? What is the play for Eldrazi Tron in this situation? So what do you think about this? It's a shiny card, so I can't see.
Yeah, it's a smasher.
Oh, it's a smasher.
Yes, so this is basically the plan for the deck, is to smash the opponent down with creatures that are undercosted Eldrazi's, and hopefully have a Tron on turn 3. Although turn 3 Tron is not something that this deck is neither reliant upon, or it is something that it has access to each game.
That's a very good point. It doesn't rely so hard on the Tron lands as other Tron.
Yeah, exactly. It has another option, and this is Eldrazi Temple, which is one of the fastest and most brutal lands in the whole modern format, because 2 Eldrazi Temples on turn 2 will get you a Thought-Knot Seer basically for free.
We see that Brazen Borrower has gone on an adventure, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good. Okay, he returned a shiny card that was actually...
that was the... oh my.
We'll get back to you after this. Okay, so we are not sure actually, and hopefully we'll get these shiny cards fixed by the next video. But it's safe to say that Brazen Borrower definitely did what his best, and that's slowing the opponent.
Exactly. The name of the game is just slow the opponent while the rhinos are just ticking down and smashing the opponent back. We see the Valakut Awakening being played, and some cards being laid down by the As Foretold player.
Okay.
With the 2 rhinos staying on defense, as it seems. And the best part is that the Teferi can just tick up, and the Smasher can't really go through them very easily.
No, it really doesn't. I think that As Foretold deck right now is in control, and just building that value, and waiting for opponent to get tired.
Get tired or to get Tron, and we see that the Eldrazi player doesn't really have Tron still.
No.
There is a power plant in a mine and a very shiny wastes, an Eldrazi temple, and what is the last land?
Last land.
Blast Zone, exactly.
that
And I
is a
do
blast
think it's
zone.
on 2. Oh, and we see an attack from the Eldrazi Smasher and double block with the 2 rhinos, as they should, and the Eldrazi Smasher is down.
Okay, so you said that this throne is not reliant on getting the throne lands turn 3, but it is good to get them, and this player still doesn't have them, and I think it's becoming a nuisance for him at this point in the game.
Exactly. One good thing is the blast zone that can tick up to 3, because it can remove the Teferi, and probably DS Foretold, that is sure to come, as it is the namesake of the deck. But meanwhile, there are some rhinos that are just smashing the opponent's face, and we can see it is 10 to 17 in terms of life totals, but it does not matter as
The namesake
the
card.
namesake card is being played and another ancestral vision / recall from them and 3 new cards in the hand. I do think there is a Fire Ice and another Electro Dominance in them, so a lot of gas for the As Foretold player. Meanwhile, I do think that also the Eldrazi Tron player has a full grip of cards, 3 or 4, but at this point they are far less impactful in my opinion.
As Foretold, one Rhino attacks the Eldrazi Tron player and puts that 4 damage in.
And we see exactly the blast zone was on 3 and it will clear out the Teferi and the As Foretold, but the value has been acquired. And we see because of Teferi that lets the player cast spells, sorceries, although they were instants. The As Foretold player manages to sneak in another Crashing Footfalls for 2 extra
It's
times.
a proper zoo on that. It's a proper zoo. I would love to visit this.
Oh, this was the card that was bounced with the Brazen Borrower. Matter Reshaper.
The shiny matter reshaper, in
Yes.
fact.
But we see the Brazen Borrower being played at the end of turn, and this is a lot of power.
Of course, Brazen Borrower with flying will
12, 13, 14, 15 trample or flying, and with the Matter Shaper being able to block only 2 of them, this should be game 1 for the As Foretold player, and exactly we see it there.
Yes. Indeed. So, a bit of post-game commentaries. It seems that, as Foretold, stayed in control for most of the game from the beginning. I would argue, and that definitely the aggressiveness of the Eldrazi Tron was nowhere to be seen because of lack of lands. Lack of power.
I do think that it was stifled by the early onset of cards such as Teferi, and they did not have the Eldrazi Temple on turn 1.
So now we are heading on to sideboarding. What do you think should the player that is down, the Eldrazi Tron player, what should he do?
Well, as we said earlier, there are 4 Chalice of the Voids in the main, and if he just puts them down on 0, it would be much harder for the As Foretold player to do their thing. But the problem or the solution with this brew is that this As Foretold deck, as I see it, is not only the As Foretold deck, it is more of a mid-range style. So it doesn't rely only on cards as Crashing Footfalls and Ancestral Vision, but also on newer cards from the Modern Horizons 2 and Brazen Borrowers that we have seen, and several others that we might be able to see in Game 2 and Game 3 if necessary, if possible.
And of course, as Foretold player, he knows that he's playing against Chalice from the first game. So what is his response? I can imagine that he expects now to see Chalice on 0.
Exactly. So something like a Brazen Borrower is a great answer, and we see there several cards being shuffled in by the As Foretold player. I didn't quite catch how many did the Eldrazi Tron player side in, but certainly it might be something to slow the game down from the As Foretold player, and something to just punch through with a little bit extra from the Eldrazi Tron player. Here we see we have plenty of time for Game 2 and Game 3, and while they're shuffling, I have a joke for you.
Yeah, let me hear it.
So how do you call a bear with no teeth?
Not sure.
A gummy bear.
Oh,
Kind of.
come on. It's a good dad joke. It's a good dad joke. When I become a dad, I will tell it to, my son.
Oh God. Okay. I will never tell you a joke. No, I'm kidding. For the audience, you get one joke every week. Every time we do this, we will try to keep it fresh. We will try to keep it new. But
And I'm sorry for that.
yeah, we are terribly sorry. Not really. Anyway, game 2 is in effect, and we actually see Chalice of the Void on 0 together with another shiny card that we cannot see, and the Mystery Forest being cracked for, let's see, probably some kind of Triumph, because this is a 4-color deck. Exactly. This is a Teamer in Datha Triumph.
Indeed. Very, very, very nice land, I must say. These triumphs are probably one of my favorites lands.
Same, because they allow, especially in the modern metagame, the players to forgo turn 1 plays in lieu of better, much more impactful turn 2 plays.
Indeed.
Here we see Cleansing Wildfire being played on the Eldrazi Temple, drawing a card and giving the Eldrazi player only a waste.
This is, I can only imagine, but it is your brew, so I will add. This is a sideboard card.
Exactly, yes. So this is one of the cards that usually comes in any matchup that is quite fond of their lands or has some utility lands, and Eldrazi Tron especially, and regular Eldrazi are full of those.
Yeah. Okay, so Chalice on the Void is on the board. It's on 0, and the as Foretold player plays. What is this card?
This is Untamed Kavu, which is a 4/4 in the face of
Territorial Cow?
Territorial Kavu. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so this is another brewery card that you put in.
This is actually the mid-range part of the deck, and this is one of the cards that this deck it plays that does not rely completely on As Foretold. As Foretold is here more of a utility card or a catch-all. So to get you the 8 power from the rhinos and the three cards from something like the Ancestral Vision. And here we see a Totnot Seer being played and another Untamed Kavu, Territorial Kavu, in the hand together with 2 Ancestral Visions. One is Foretold and a Brazen Borrower, which can bounce the Chalice if needed.
Or Totnot Seer, you might want to bounce him.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, but Territorial Kavu is still in play, and he's blocking something.
Yeah, he is blocking the shiny Meteor Shaper, and the Kavu is now 3/3, and cracking a fetch is now turning into a 4/4 actually.
Very nice, very nice.
Saving the Kavu and killing the Meteor Shaper. And now we have a 4/4 Totnot Seer versus a 4/4 Kavu, and I do think that the As Foretold player doesn't really mind trading here. Because first of all, we saw there is another one in hand, and second of all, exactly. No, maybe.
Maybe.
No.
Yeah, okay, it went through. Very good. Of course, the Eldrazi Tron player, he is not very keen on trading here.
Exactly. And we see one of the hidden modes of Territorial Kavu is to rummage. So the As Foretold player pitched one of the recalls and drew another card. And now we see Prismatic Ending for 1. Exactly, and this might be a decisive factor in this game because now half of his hand is unlocked.
And
we see
well,
some.
more than half of his mana. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited to see what he plays because I imagine he waited for this. He waited to have 3 open mana. So
The As Foretold was exiled with the Tottenham Seer, so he might have something else in mind. But we know that he has Brazen Borrower in hand to bounce a pesky permanent if need be.
Eldrazi Tron player still doesn't have Tron.
Yeah, exactly. As we said earlier, it does not rely so much. Oh, we have a card now in play, but it does not rely so much on the Tron, but more on the Eldrazi lands, which was actually destroyed as the first one of the game with the Cleansing Wildfire. And we see the Karn maybe fetching something from the sideboard.
Wishing for what? What exactly? What is the play here?
I don't really
Pitting Needle maybe to block the Teferi? No?
We will see actually. There are, as far as I see, there are no very good sideboard cards for this matchup. Oh, actually, this is how is it called? The Forge? Mystic Forge, exactly.
Mystic Forge.
Yeah.
So tell me about Mystic Forge. How does it provide advantage against As Foretold?
Well, if it's a non-land card that is colorless and Eldrazi are all colorless, it can be played from the top of the deck. So it is a fine, very fine card advantage spell. But we see here, on the other hand, another very good card advantage spell, which is Electro Dominance into draw 3 just for 0 mana.
You want.
Exactly. And another crunch from the Territorial Cabal.
Crunch.
Into the red zone we go, and another looting and discarding crashing footfalls. That is a sign of strength.
Wow. That you don't see this often. You don't see it. It just shows how versatile this brew is. You can take multiple ways.
Multiple lines, exactly.
Yeah, multiple lines. That's the word I was looking for. Which is exciting to me, you know.
Exactly. And we see now, oh, this is a great play. This is an As Foretold post-combat, and from it cast Inevitable Betrayal.
Wow.
One of my pet cards,
Wow.
actually.
So I imagine that not many people play Inevitable Betrayal, so maybe they don't know what is this card.
So Inevitable Betrayal is great, especially against something like Tron, because it allows you to grab their biggest creature from their deck and just slide it over to your side, and now he has an Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hungerer, for 0 mana.
Of course, this Ulamog
Doesn't trigger because it wasn't cast,
Yeah.
but still a 10/10 indestructible with an attack trigger that exiles the top 20 cards is still great, especially if it came for 0 mana.
Wow, grateful for As Foretold player, of course. Not so grateful Eldrazi.
I just spotted an All is Dust in his hand, but it's a little bit too late because there is a 10/10 indestructible on the battlefield.
And of course, All is Dust, or am I mistaken? All is Dust doesn't kill the Ulamog.
No, it makes you sacrifice all colored permanents.
Yes.
And here we see, because of this, a Mystic Forge being played for 4 mana. It lets the player see the top card of the library and decide if they want to play it. It is a Basilisk color, usually a fine card, but
Now, in this situation,
in this situation, not so much. So I do think that this game will be done shortly.
it will definitely end very soon. If I was playing the Eldrazi, I would sweep up my cards definitely after seeing that Ulamog. You know, it's my Ulamog, and my opponent played it and
Exactly.
not happy.
Yes. here we see another inevitable betrayal on the bottom of the deck, but I do think it will not come to it, because just a swing from all of those creatures and we will have a game. Exactly, and especially if the Thought-Knot Sphere gets bounced, there are no creatures, the player, as Foretold player, gets to draw a card and just crunch in the red zone. That is 14 damage, and yes, here is Sears handshake, and it is over. So that is it for round 1. Stay tuned, we will bring you another round soon, but first, we will be back.